Hello and welcome to Kind of a Weird Experiment. I've taken episode 24 of DF Talk and cut it down into a compressed format that's a little bit quicker and easier to consume. I'm going to be talking about different parts, giving some opinions and thoughts and things that I'm excited about or interested in. But before I do anything, I would just like to thank Captain Tastic for putting this together, as always, and please go support him on Patreon, and links to his Twitter will also be in the description. Without further ado, I'll let them begin with their intro.
Welcome to another episode of Dwarf Fortress Talk. Here I have Rainseeker.
What? I'm back?
He's back.
After a 5-year hiatus? What? Hey guys.
Right off the bat, we get a very big tease that I would give probably my two front teeth in order to get screenshots of, but we get a tease of some of the Steam UI. I'll let Tarn talk about it.
The whole Steam thing, which is probably the biggest thing that's happened in the last 5 years.
Yay, Steam.
Globally, one of the biggest things that happened in the last 5 years.
I mean, because it kind of looks like you're finally taking my my persistent suggestion of having a better user interface. That looks amazing.
Yeah, that's it's about time. Something happened there for sure. So I sent a little image over to the Discord chat. That's the we've kind of been testing out screens.
Look at that.
This is a little prototype embark screen that hasn't had any artist attention to it. So those are all my
clearly, but that's fine.
My terrible color schemes and stuff, right? I mean,
it really is very bad.
Yeah. It's like kind of earthy tones, kind of the exact.
Yeah.
It's like Elf Fortress.
Yeah.
That's definitely that's the Elf Fortress.
I do like the little ornamentations in the corners.
Yeah, those were the parts that are actually drawn by the artists. Just that, and of course the items that you see there.
Right.
But the very kind of stop sign looking plus and minus look there. That's all me. But yeah, if you remember how the game works, like when you used to have to type N for new item, and it would take you to a whole different screen with a typing filter and the categories and so forth. Here it is, all in one place. So
Look at that.
Yeah, you can see your items on the left. You can see the typing filter and the categories on the right. You can see a scroll bar with a little dwarf face on it. Of course, I put a little dwarf face on the scroll bar. But
Oh, there it is.
But the ones on the right also get scroll bars. The middle one gets a scroll bar because, of course, there's more categories than that when you aren't filtering. It's kind of, there's always just a lot of stuff, which is going to be one of our main obstacles.
Now I'm just going to butt in here with some thoughts. Obviously, we don't have these screenshots yet, but I hope because they're talking about it here, we'll see them in the relatively near future. The first thing that I would like to mention is that I completely agree with Tarn in that the biggest problem, especially with the Embark UI, is it hides information behind a single hotkey, and you won't realize that hotkey is there or important until somebody points it out to you. And I think that the simplification and the condensing of the UI is a very good direction for them to be going, and can't wait to see more of it. All right, now we're going to talk about they're going to talk about some adventure mode stuff.
Out of curiosity, where are we with adventure mode?
So I've got adventure mode showing up on the screen, which is a huge first step. People wandering around and looking like either people or the debug creature. The thing is, we haven't finished the layering on say the human, because the dwarves now currently are built from 12 layers, including like here's your left arm, here's your right arm, here's your face, here's your beard, here's your shadow underneath you, and so forth. So there's just a little bit of extra art that needs to be done, and we're hoping to get even to some extent get the animal people done up that way as well. Though of course, since there are 200 animal people, it's not going to be something that we can do perfectly for every single body type or whatever.
I think that the knowledge about 12 layers per creature is actually really interesting. I was very curious about how they're going to do armor, shadows, and all of the different unit types, beards, etc. So I'm very curious to see what this means for modding, especially custom tile sets and creations that other people are going to make. I'm sure that those will pop up, and man, artists, get on it. So in the next point, we're going to recant some of the stuff that has been discussed before in Mystics and Magics, in the futures and World Gens. So this is going to be a long stretch of dialogue here, but enjoy it.
There's really going to be...
At some point, I'm just talking nonsense, of course, but there's a I mean, the violence slider is definitely part of the plans.
Oh, interesting. I hadn't even considered that.
Yeah, let's talk. Yeah, so we can recap. I mean, at some point, Dwarf Fortress Talk is just a series of recapitulations. So yeah, I don't even remember what we talked about in the Myth and Magic episode, right? Way back when, over 400 years ago. But the current idea was when you generate your setting, you'd have a series of sliders that kind of let you. And we don't know what the final form of these is. We're just kind of sort of spitballing what the sliders might be. One of them is like sort of how typical is your fantasy world on a scale from there aren't even any dwarves. It's just different humans running around, over to like the more typical setting where you have dwarves and also some sort of canonical animal people, and so kind of like a Elder Scrolls type setting, or any of the kind of typical fantasy settings where you pick a couple animal people to kind of show off, and then you have dwarves and elves and that kind of thing. But then you move the slider over a little bit more, and you've got like all kinds of strange five-eyed things. Still got some dwarves, but maybe the dwarves have innate magic powers and other oddities to them. And then you move the slider all the way over, and it removes all of the raw object content completely, and leaves you in a complete soup that you would sort of be. It'd be like one of those fantasy novels that uses too many made-up words. You're just trying to figure out like
what the heck everything means
on here. And then eventually, once you've kind of, I think it'd be pretty cool to try, right? I'm not sure how fun it would be to do it regularly, but you try and do a setting like that, and you sort of find yourself sinking into it, and you're like, oh, okay, now I kind of understand what's going on. And, maybe it'd be cool. And that's one of the sliders.
And then from here, they go into a lot more information, talking about World Gen and Mystics and exactly what that's going to kind of feel like in idea and practice, and generate an incredibly evil world with no dwarves at all, and then their attempt at a Care Bear world where dwarves can change the weather with their minds, and if they fail, they get a mild headache. It's quite awesome and lovely to listen to, and I didn't want to just chop it down, and I couldn't make it sound good, so I recommend, if you do want to hear that conversation, to just simply listen to the latter half of DF Talk. It starts at about an hour in or so. But I'm going to leave in this funny tangent about multiplayer games from the end of it, and thank you very much for listening to this. If this is the sort of thing you want to see more of on this channel, let me know, and once again, please go support Captain-tastic on his Patreon, and keep an eye on Bay 12 Games for more. All of the links will be in the description. Thank you very much for listening to my voice in between this abridged edition of DF Talk.
Hey, you're not much into multiplayer games, are you?
Oh, no. No, I did play on the PS, I think it was on the PS4. I did have Destiny for a bit because the multiplayer is really kind of unobtrusive in that. If you're not doing, I never did any of the, like, what are they called? I don't even remember. The Crucibles? What are they called?
Yeah, the PvP.
Yeah, I never did any of that, but like the environmental stuff it's kind of relaxing. Like people will be off there fighting something, and then if you want to just snipe something and wander on and maybe wave at them and then wander on, that's something I can take.
I've been playing a lot of Overwatch past couple of years, so that's a pretty intense game. I imagine you're not into that.
Yeah, no,
I mean, it can be pretty chill.
Do you have a main? Do people have mains? Is that how it works?
I play Diva.
Oh, you do? I
Yes.
play Pharah and Symmetra and Torbjorn and Reinhardt and Zarya and McCree, pretty much. Oh, and Junkrat. Those are my mains. I have a few mains.
Terminology is a wonderful thing.
Indeed. We need to play online. I didn't realize that you played.
You gotta give me treats.
There you go. I want my treats.